Right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Unbiased Rugby Podcast. Brent, how you doing?
Good, thanks yourself, Matt.
Yeah, good. Can't complain, man. Listen, Rugby Championships come to an end. Um, yeah, a bit of a disappointing last round three. Round one, very exciting. Round two, very exciting again. Argentina just coming up over Australia. And round three to me was very disappointing in terms of obviously the Springboks only getting up by 1 point.
I think it
But
depends on where you come from. I think the
I,
Argentines had a great weekend, and I
I
think
think they
So
played
did
good.
New Zealand.
Yeah, well, they all excited and happy and everything like that. But the rugby wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It, it's still a good weekend. Any rugby is a good weekend, but yeah,
That's a
you're
fair
right.
point. That's a fair point, and we're only going uphill from here.
That's it.
New Zealand over Australia in wherever they played in Australia, and Argentina 1 point lost to the Springboks in at Ellis Park in Johannesburg.
It was
Um,
close, eh? It was close. It was
my
unfortunate for Argentina because
I
they
was
did.
like this at the end there.
I agree with you, and I mean, if they made their 3 point kicks, they got their penalties over, it would have been a very different ball game for Argentina. I won't lie.
Absolutely, it's a pity Buffelli wasn't there because if Buffelli was there, he wouldn't have missed a kick. You know how he is, and
That's also true. Yeah,
I think
that's
we, I
also
think
true.
we, I think we got off lucky.
I think they got off lucky.
I think they got a very lucky not to get a red card in the first 30 seconds of the game. You told me that guy got cited.
Yeah, he started. So the results of that will come out tomorrow, but it should have.
That was ridiculous. I was fuming. Not even just being a South African fan. That was absolutely. I just felt absolutely desperate for Grant Williams.
Yeah,
His first start, that was his chance to, cement his position as
but
a
it's also a
first or
career-ending
second
move.
choice. Yeah, but I mean, for the World Cup, it's devastating. It was his chance to cement his spot either second or above Faf de Klerk,
Yeah,
depending on how he played.
correct.
Um, and I was devastated for him, absolutely devastated. He did nothing wrong, and I mean, they say there's nothing the guy could have done. But I mean, if you're coming in for a charge down, you come in facing the front, whereas he had turned, stuck his hip out to cause
But
that
also,
damage.
he wasn't on the ball. He was on the player. Jesse Kriel did a knockdown. I think 5 minutes after that, he wasn't near the kicker.
Well, if you look at last year when Curtly Orense got a red card for the Bowden Barrett hit, if anything, that was less than what we just saw now.
Dude, dangerous is dangerous at the end of the day. When someone gets taken off the field the way that happened there, that can't
Mm.
stand in
And
rugby.
I
You could
mean,
end
the
that
way that they
kid's
make
career.
and the way they make the rules now, any contact with the head,
Yeah.
to be fair, sometimes it's a bit ridiculous, but I mean, you can't. I mean, we watched a game. Where was it? When was it the All Blacks Australia game now,
Yep.
where the guy ducked into the tackle, literally ducked into the tackle, and there was contact with the head. What can you do? You can't help if your opposition player ducks into your shoulder.
But that was fair though because he did turn a shoulder into it. He did.
Okay,
But I
that's
think but it was because he was injured. That guy shouldn't have been on the field at the time because I think I did research afterwards and I think he's got a cracked rib. Remember, I still told you he couldn't stand up straight. That oak was struggling on the field. He shouldn't have
well,
been there.
Taniela Tupou, yeah, but that wasn't
Correct.
him that got the yellow card. He went
It
off the
was
field,
18.
yes, and
18.
and and, and the other player came back on again. But anyway, regardless of that, be consistent. If you're going to give
There's no
a
consistency.
card for that, you've got to give a card for what happened to Williams.
100%. I
Um,
think that the ref was under a bit of pressure 17 seconds into the game. I think if that happened 30 minutes into the game, it would have been a very different call. Uh, I don't
Absolutely.
I don't think that he wanted to kill the game that early on. But if you make mistakes like that, then you should be penalised for it. It does because that costs your if it costs your team, so be it. But you cannot put someone else's career in jeopardy because you want to do one charge down. It doesn't work like that.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that that they just need to be more consistent.
But now I
Um,
want to know what happens now. Another player gets cited. Okay, that doesn't help us at all. But what happens to the ref? Does he get cited?
Yeah, that's a different thing. The refs aren't held accountable. And look at, I mean, we've all forgotten it because it's been 4 or 5 years or whatever. But the last World Cup was a complete stuff up with refereeing.
Yeah.
I remember social media was going crazy. Everyone was pissed off. All the memes came out, and nothing was ever done about it. So it's going to happen again, and if anything, it's going to be worse.
But there
I
is no,
mean,
you see, there's no responsibility for them. They just go about their day, and I do think that World Rugby is making it very difficult because every year that we check, there's new rules. So it makes it
yeah.
very difficult for them to keep up with what's going on. But head contact is head contact. You're off the field.
What do you think about this the specific rugby, this law about red cards being 20 minutes? I completely and utterly disagree. For me, a red card is a red card.
Um,
You can't, because you can go and do a try saving tackle, get yourself a red, and be back on and
no,
potentially
but
win a game.
you can't come back on.
You can after 20
No,
minutes.
no, you can. The guy can be replaced, but the person that gets the red card cannot come back onto the field, from what I know. But that I would agree with. If they said, Joe, the guy that got red carded doesn't come back onto the field, he has to be replaced after 20 minutes. That I would go for.
See, I
But
reckon if you do that, you're down a man for the rest of the game. That's just how it's always been. That's how it always should be.
yeah, I think they're trying to change it so that the game doesn't get run away. I mean, we've seen instances with guys that get a red card in the first 10 minutes of the game, and then the game's not the same anymore. People don't really want to watch it. So I think they're trying to keep it interesting, but I think bringing that rule in now is not the right. It's not the right time to do something like that.
Yeah, you need to do it like as soon as the World Cup ends. You need to do it then so that
So
it
that
can
people can
fade
get
in
used to
for the
it.
next 4 years. You
But
can't
don't
just.
bring it into a World Cup straight away because then we're going to have a shambles that's going on. Yeah,
But
people are
they're
going to be very
famous for
upset.
doing that. They're famous for changing the laws of rugby, like in the months coming up to the Rugby World Cup. I mean, they
No,
did it
I know
last time.
that. I know that. But yeah,
Getting back to the
it's
Rugby Championship, obviously New Zealand finished on top. We finished
well
second.
deserved, eh? Well
Yeah,
deserved.
listen, well deserved, very well deserved. I think they got away lucky. Well, when I say they got away lucky, I think that Australia were hard done by. Australia would never have won, but I think the score would have been a lot closer than it was. I think the reffing in that game was absolutely atrocious. I don't want to be that guy, but we're going to have to talk about it at some point. Well
100%.
deserved
But
win from New Zealand. They would have won regardless. But I just think that Australia were hard done by. And like I said to you earlier, I said, you could just see it in the Wallabies coming toward the end of the game. They just had no fight left in them. They were giving up almost because when every call is going against you the way that it is, eventually you get sick of it and you go, you know what, why am I, why? What's the
but
point?
Matt, you take that amount of punishment for 70 minutes. I mean, there was maybe like a 10, 15-minute stint that Australia was actually running with ball in hand and stuff like that, but the rest was New
Mm,
Zealand. I mean, I think in the first half they made like 114 tackles or something like that. Their defense was up to par, but when you put under that amount of pressure, sooner or later you are going to break.
yeah, just
So
hang on a sec. Yeah,
Can you help me with my friend's name?
I'll come and help you just now, all right? I just want to finish this video and I'll be there, okay?
Okay.
All right. Take your kitty. Yeah, I hear you. Sorry about that. I absolutely hear
no
you.
problem.
Um, I was very impressed with Australia. I mean, they were defending on their 5 meter line for 15 to 20 phases at a time,
Without giving
and
away a penalty.
without giving away a
Brilliant.
penalty. Which when you go into New Zealand's 22, they just give away penalties after penalty after penalty. Which I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think that it's a strategy that's very we don't like it because we don't do it. South Africa
But it
doesn't do
works.
that.
But I think
It
we would like it
works.
if we did do it.
I think I would like it if we did as well. But the problem is when you give away a penalty to New Zealand in your 22, they're going to score.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah.
That's the difference. They can give away penalties all day because we'll just keep stuffing it up.
Yeah, their
Um,
defense is brilliant. Can't.
absolutely a force to be reckoned with. But like I said, I think that game would have been a hell of a lot closer than it was. I was
Yeah.
very impressed with the Wallabies in the first half, and I think that if they carry on improving the way they're improving, everyone's laughing at them, but they'll be a force to be reckoned with come the World Cup. They've got a few more games to get their shit in order,
Yeah.
and I think that they will be incredibly good come the World Cup.
I think that Carter Gordon definitely needs some more time on the field. He made a couple of mistakes with the kicking on the boot and stuff like that, but it was his first start,
Mm.
so he's going to have to get more game time. What worries me for Australia is the two props that
I
were
think,
injured.
well, exactly that. Taniela Tupou, I mean, he must have had one or two cracked ribs there or something. I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure what they said.
and then a
And then,
ruptured Achilles for the
yeah,
captain
a
Alatoa.
ruptured Achilles for Alan Alatoa, yeah, which for me would see him out of the World Cup, which is a huge blow.
That's massive. That's massive.
I was very excited to see Taniela Tupa come back on, and after, because he's just come back from injury, and now, so hopefully this is something small. It
That
will
he can
sort
recover
himself, because
from.
I
Yeah,
rate him. He's a great player. And he made an impact for the 5-10 minutes that he could run around on the field, because
yeah,
and I mean, he didn't want to go off. I mean, credit to him, bro. That's passion. That's passion if
definitely,
you've ever seen it.
definitely.
He knew there was no replacement, so he stayed on the field. Um, then again, you're a professional. You're potentially injuring yourself for the World Cup. What do you do in that situation? You don't want to let your team down, but at the same
No,
time, you don't want to be off for a year again.
that's it.
Um, so New Zealand on top, South Africa second, meagly, just could have
A
been
couple of
third there for
standout
a minute.
players for me in the New Zealand team. I have to say, Ardie Savia is captain. Can't fault the guy. He had a hell of a game.
Was Ardie
Uh,
Savia captain?
he was captain on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
Will
He had a hell
Jordan.
of a game, yeah.
Will Jordan had
Frizzell
a
was a bit
fantastic game.
quiet in his last game.
But he did. He had his moments, eh?
He had
He
his
did have
moments
his
when he
moments. I
when
mean, he scored a try at the first one after Scott
after
Barrett folded that guy like that.
Tate McDermott got folded like a deck chair, as you would say. And
Dano
I,
had
and I
no
wanted
idea
to
what was going on in that game.
I
He got
wanted to mention that after that, I mean, there were balls coming out the ruck, bouncing here and there. Like the
dude,
oak
he
must
couldn't
have
hold
been
on to the ball
concussed,
anymore. I think he was
dude.
a bit shocked. He didn't. He was
Yeah,
shell shocked for sure.
I think he was looking up the whole time, wondering where whoever Scott Barrett is. Like where's this guy? He's not. This isn't happening
No, he
again.
timed him. It was
Yes.
bland. It was
Oh,
bland, that one.
oh.
And then
Yes.
Mwanga, again, great game.
Always,
Very
always,
consistent, eh? Yeah, he missed two
absolutely.
kicks, but very consistent, controlling his back line. He did very, very well.
Argentina. Just as a pack, they play so well. They fronted up against Australia. They fronted up against South Africa. You know, as a South African fan, I hate to say this, but we're in deep shit for the World Cup. We're in.
Yeah,
We're in. We're in.
we've got lot of work to do, Matt.
Can we even get that work done? I don't know. I think we're in a hell of a lot of trouble. I think New Zealand's on the right track. I think South Africa, we don't have a viable number 10. So we've just got to hope and pray that Andre Pollard can
But what happens if something happens to him in
recover.
the World Cup? What do we do then?
Then we lose. Then it's quite simple. We lose.
Because the thing is, I think it's time to bring Elton Yankees into this. Give him a chance. Let him prove himself again.
I'm
He's
starting
been
to think maybe you're right.
He's been pushed down a couple of pegs, but it's not working at the moment, Matt. Our backline is not performing, and it all comes from that number 10 position. I don't know. Maybe they planned something else with Grant Williams starting, and it all got messed up with him going off.
I think Marnie
But
and Grant together could have been a something. We don't know because we didn't get to see it.
the thing is, it can't go week in, week out the way that it's going now with Mani Lebok. How many chances do you want to give him before we say, okay, let's bring someone in that's maybe got a little bit more experience here? Because we don't have a chance at the World Cup. Ireland's going to absolutely annihilate us if we bring Mani Lebok at number 10 here.
That's going to be done just now, my boy. Please just give me a minute. Yeah, I think that you're right, and I think that if they're going to bring in Elton Yankees, they need to do it now for these warm-up games.
Yeah.
I think that they need to do it now for these warm-up games, because otherwise I think we're in deep trouble. And like I said, you can only hope as a Springbok fan that that's not the case and that we win the World Cup. But at this rate, we've got absolutely no chance to make it past the quarterfinals.
Because the thing is, nothing's changing, Matt. We've tried different number 9s. We've tried Cobus Reinach, Grant Williams, Faf de Klerk. We're trying the number 9 position, but that's not where our problem lies. We've got depth there. That I'm not worried about. The 10 is where our situation sits.
Yes, and we were worried about this a while ago, and everyone said Mani Lebok, and I do rate him. I know that he didn't perform this last weekend, and that was his opportunity as well, especially against a team like Argentina. You should be able to perform a lot better than that. And I think that, listen, kudos to New Zealand. They well-deservingly won the championship. They
Correct.
won the Freedom Cup. They won the Bledisloe Cup. They won the Rugby Championship. The only thing left for them this year is the Rugby World Cup. And at this rate, they're going to be the ones who take it home, unless it's a Northern Hemisphere team, Ireland or France. And what games? So we this is coming to a close. What is happening now for the next weekend? What games are coming up this next weekend, Ben?
Saturday the 5th, we've got a lock, stock and barrel just rugby day. It's going to be great. Starting off early with Samoa versus Tonga, and then we've got New Zealand versus Australia. After that, Japan versus Fiji, Scotland versus France. It's going to be a great game. Wales versus England, always a cracker. Ireland versus Italy. We know which way that one's going to go, but it's still going to be good to watch. And then Argentina, the Argentines getting in the box.
Yeah, Argentines and South Africa again, and hopefully, well, at the rate we played last weekend, we're going to get a bun in Argentina.
I think it's going to be a bit more difficult for us there. We've also decided to leave a whole bunch of our key players at home, which I don't know if is the right move. I wish they would have sent Alton Yankees over instead of Mani Labok. Let him deal with the team that they sent over and see how he does with that. And then, but they've made the decision. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, very disappointing. Once again, just recapping, very disappointing last weekend of the Rugby Championship, last round there.
Matt, just take into consideration, the Argentines beat New Zealand at home last year. They're not a soft squad.
Australia, and they beat Australia in Australia. Absolutely not a soft squad, Brent. But we shouldn't be. They shouldn't beat us or get close to beating us at Ellis Park. I don't care who else they beat. They can go beat New Zealand 10 times in New Zealand. They shouldn't be able to beat us at Ellis Park. It's quite simple like that.
Also true. It's the home of rugby in South Africa.
We can't just say because they beat us, because they beat New Zealand, they can beat us. It's not how it works. You sit here and you go South Africa, whether they laugh at us or not, because I know a lot of New Zealanders do laugh at us. They think we're not a force to be reckoned with, and they completely
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of respect between the two teams. I honestly do think so.
There is with some people, and with some people there isn't. Just like with some South Africans, there's no respect towards the All Blacks. Where with me and you, there is. But you do get those toxic, salty fans. Unfortunately,
100%.
You do. And
100%.
I think I've got a great respect for the All Blacks. And every time we run on the field with them, I get, you get goosebumps, and you sit there
even when I watch the Haka again on Saturday, it still gives me goosebumps, man. The whole challenge from Australia to New Zealand and the respect given between the two teams. How can you not love them?
Absolutely. And then you've got now coming up, you've got at some point DDP versus Adesanya in the UFC, which is another New Zealand South Africa rivalry. So there's huge rivalries going on.
But I don't know if that fight's going to take place now.
I don't know, because if Jikus is injured or what.
It's just too much of a short turnaround. I mean, it'll be great, but I just think he needs a little bit more training. Sooner or later, it will,
Yeah. So that'll be one to watch as well. But going back into the rugby, that's why we're here. We will be making a video about consistent refereeing sometime in the next 2 weeks. We'll have some videos up showing some examples like you wanted to do for anyone who wants to watch and see how inconsistent the refereeing is.
But it's not to bring the refs down. It's more about seeing exactly why the call was made the way that it was made. I'm not here to lambaste a ref. I mean, their jobs aren't easy. But I do want to show our fans and our viewers exactly why he's called it that way, and if he's made a mistake, why it should have been called the other way. Just point out a couple of things that, especially in scrum time, because scrum time is a very difficult thing to read for any ref. We see it a little bit better because we've got 3 or 4 different camera angles that they can show us exactly where it's going. I mean, he could be standing on the other side of the scrum. So it's a couple of things that the TMO also needs to get involved in.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. And we will be making a video next week just to recap all this weekend's friendlies that are happening in the warm-ups for the World Cup. We'll do that, especially the important ones, like you said, Scotland, France. I'm very excited to watch that.
Yeah.
And see Duan van der Merwe on the wing for Scotland.
Yeah, Duan. That was a loss for South Africa. That's a massive loss for South Africa.
There's a lot of hype around him possibly this year getting the record for the most tries ever scored in a Rugby World Cup, which I think is 8 at the moment, matched Brian Banner, a couple of New Zealanders. And,
Jonah Lomu,
Brian.
So only the 2. It's only the 2.
Is it? Okay.
In one World Cup. In one World Cup is 8 tries.
Someone like Scotland, if he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it all in the pool games. So we'll wait and see. And then, straight into the warm-up games, straight into the previews for the World Cup games, and it's going to be a big year for rugby.
That's going to be great. It's going to be great. I mean, we've got a couple of weeks now where it's friendlies and stuff like that, but is it really a friendly? It's quite serious because, I mean, this is our build-up. So, South Africa, give me your take quickly now on this Jacques Niebenhonder thing where it almost seems like he's 50-50 in the Springboks at the moment because he's leaving soon.
Yeah, look, I don't mind. I think Rassie's in charge there. Rassie runs the show. I think he has director of rugby or head coach. He's always been running the show. I think all Jacques Nienaber did when he stepped up to head coach is to do a bit more press conferences and announce the team and do this and do that. But I still think Rassie runs the show.
But why not make a clean cut, Matt?
I
You've
think
got
it's
an,
probably a better thing to do so that people can focus more on their jobs.
bring the other coach in. Let's see what his idea of the situation is now. Because now at the moment you've got
exactly.
nothing to lose.
Well, you've got Coach Stocker there, who's he looks keen and he looks ready to step up. I don't know if he can do the job as head coach, but I mean, just to fill in for Nienaber now, while but like I said, Rassie runs the show.
Terrible timing.
Yeah, well, look, New Zealand have announced theirs. Australia, well, I don't know. There was a lot of talk about Eddie Jones not being there after the World Cup, and at this rate, probably will happen.
That guy's in trouble, dude. But I mean, he still doesn't stop, eh? He's still
No,
chatting.
he still talks. I told you, but that will fake it till he makes it. Well, even if it takes 10 years to win a game.
No, I really hope that I don't know if he's going to pull anything off in New Zealand, but I'm very sure with the other warm-up games, something will change a little bit.
Absolutely. And all they need is one change in momentum.
That's it.
That's all they need is one change in
momentum. So us playing up against Northern Hemisphere teams in the next 3 weeks or so, I think it will make a bit of a difference. I mean, you come into a rugby championship, there's no easy team. It's all difficult.
Absolutely.
I mean, but I do think
knockout stage rugby, anyone can win. I've always said that it doesn't matter if you South Africa playing against Namibia. Anyone can win on the day. If Namibia come to play in South Africa and make a couple of stuff-ups, it can go either way.
It happened to us before with Japan.
Look at Japan. Exactly. Look at that. Look at Argentina last year in New Zealand. Nobody ever thought that would happen.
That's also it.
So anything can happen on the day, and any team can get knocked out on the day, no matter who you play against. So I'm very excited, and I think that the quality of rugby has improved in the Northern Hemisphere over the last 4 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that the games are going to be a lot more level-headed, and I'm very excited. I'm worried. I don't think South Africa at this rate that they're going at have much of a chance. But as a South African, you can only hope for the best, and
for sure.
We'll see what happens.
I honestly think New Zealand are going in as the favourites, even though they rank third in the world. But I do think they're still the favourites to win this World Cup.
I think so too. I tend to agree with you. It's between them and France. I don't think Ireland have a chance. And
Ireland's definitely got a chance this year. Ireland's got a chance for sure.
I don't know. They never seem to get it right come quarterfinal time. So
we'll have
to just wait and see.
Maybe they got the luck of the Irish this year.
I don't know how they managed to get Johnny Sexton back. That's also ridiculous for me. So
I don't know what happened there, because that oak should have at least got a couple of games, not just 3. Yeah,
well,
at least several.
Who's on the panel? It's all Northern Hemisphere: Ireland, Scotland, England.
Pretty much. There's probably a Kiwi in there somewhere, but
Rassie Erasmus gets a year, and he didn't even swear at anybody.
No, it was more of a Twitter.
Well, it was I think it was an hour-long video.
I never watched it.
I didn't watch it either because it wasn't that exciting. I mean,
but it's also in bad faith. It was in bad faith. Let's be honest about it. It should have never come out.
No, it should never come out. But anyway, regardless of that, he got a year, and Johnny Sexton gets 3 games for telling Jaco Paper he's effing useless.
Yeah, and the TMOs. Small went off at everyone.
But at the same time, I think there probably shouldn't have even been a hearing about it, because, I mean, Jaco Paper, being the South African he is, he probably didn't even give a shit.
But Jaco Paper is cuck, though.
No, what do you mean? He's a Shark supporter, and when he refs the Sharks, it's brilliant, boy. He's brilliant when he refs the Sharks.
Yeah, because you're a Shark supporter.
Absolutely.
I'm a Lion. There's no way.
Absolutely.
I cannot stand that oak as a ref. Maybe a little bit more than Wayne Barnes, but yeah.
All right, Boyke, I think that's that. Everybody, please remember, we are going to be here for the World Cup. We are going to come out with some videos next week. There's a button there below Brent. Like and subscribe. And we hope you enjoy the content. If you have any tips for us, if you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you want to see. And we'd be happy to oblige.
100%.
All right, Boyke, I'll see you next week after this weekend's warm-up games.
Sounds good, bud. Have a good week.
Buddy.
Cheers. Bye.